Welcome to The Point. I'm Eric Mitchell. It has been a big week in sports. If you're a sports fan or a purist of the game of baseball,
Major League Baseball finally reclassifying the Negro Leagues as a major league.
Finally, since 1920, Major League Baseball has not recognized the Negro League records. Great players like Satchel Paige, Josh Gibson, and Willie Mays, just to name a few, their records have been kind of, not all counted, which would change the Major League record books as we know them today. Now, they decided that they will no longer, Major League Baseball decided they will no longer segregate statistics.
For generations, baseball has captured the hearts and minds of fans. But there is a painful history behind America's favorite pastime.
Let's stop for a second and realize it's 2020. Hi, Major League Baseball. I'm sure that we've met before, but you do know it's 2020. We've had great baseball players like Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds, just to name a few. I think segregating stats is pretty weird.
Well, I think the significance is clearly an attempt at redress, especially with the tumultuous year that we've had in the country. I think that the significance also is the legitimacy of the league, at least in the eyes of Major League Baseball. I'm very troubled by it, if I'm being completely candid. I don't think it's the right move for Major League Baseball because of the statistics and such, but I do understand that the year that we're in, Major League Baseball has tried to deal with this and wrestle with the idea of what to do with the statistics and what to do with the careers of the people that they essentially destroyed in the early part of the 20th century.
Now, why does this even matter? Why is this even newsworthy? Well, many of baseball's greatest players spent all or part of their careers in the Negro League, which launched in 1920.
Researchers will now study historical records to determine what counts and what doesn't. When Jackie Robinson broke the game's color barrier back in 1947, those leagues began to dissolve, but their impact is still felt throughout baseball today.
Pretty epic, right? When you think about how long ago 1920 was, we had two leagues. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but Major League Baseball was segregated until the great Jackie Robinson took the field in 1947. That's bananas. If you look at Jackie Robinson, his amazing career. And for those playing at home who aren't baseball purists and don't know this fact, the number 42, Jackie's number, is retired throughout Major League Baseball. That's right.
The most famous player in Dodgers history is also one of the most important. In 1947, Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier, becoming the first African-American player to not just play in Major League Baseball, but any major American sport, paving the way for generations to follow. He was 6 times an All-Star, 1 time a League Most Valuable Player, and in 1962, the same year Dodger Stadium opened, he was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Looking around Dodger Stadium, all the retired numbers are in blue, but Jackie's is in red, because on the 50th anniversary of his Major League Baseball debut back in 1997, his number 42 was retired league-wide.
The number 42 was retired. The last baseball player to wear it was Yankee great and Hall of Famer Mariano Rivera. Mo! That's right, baby. That's the last. They gave it to a Yankee, so fitting the team with the most championships rings it up with an amazing Dominican and our great man, Mariano Rivera. Now, just so you know, the Negro League was excluded from Major League Baseball statistics in 1969, meaning that many of the stars were excluded from the Major League record books. So, it's interesting to what this means, but there's a lot other. Before we go and kind of tell you what this means, let's backtrack a second. There's been a lot of changes. The fact that this is taking place in 2020 is crazy. But we saw something else this week when the ownership of the Cleveland Indians stated that 2021 would be the last year that the Cleveland Indians would go by the name Indians.
That some say is racist.
We're never trying to be disrespectful. And I still feel that way. But I don't think that's a good enough answer today.
Now, many of us celebrated this as that name is offensive and it's not triggering, but then you saw other people, the Trumplican snowflakes, became heavily offended. And
I think that it's overkill. I don't think that they need to be changing things that have been in place for years and years.
Indian's name, I think that if it were voted on by maybe Native Americans who say they wanted to change, then by all means change it.
This was social cancel culture and all of this jabberish. Now, I went and looked up the people saying this. 99.9% of them were disgruntled white men.
Where could we end cancel culture? And the answer is, I don't think you can do it. Because the far left wingers who are reliant upon cancel culture always need something new to be offended by. Otherwise, they just have to go to work and sit down and shut up and stop whining.
Who don't seem to understand if you crack open a history book, you will see something interesting. See, we came over here, when I say we, I mean the white people, we came over here to America, and besides bringing slaves with us, because we're just outstanding people, we also decided that the people who were here first, like, the Native Americans, hence the name is Native, and you get my drift, they're Native Americans. Yeah, they were here. What did we bring them besides syphilis and disease and pandemics? We also murdered them and took their land and promised them their land and then took their land, and now we still screw with them on their land, and then we still go around and have racist names for baseball teams and football teams. Now, the football team in Washington changed its name from the Washington Redskins to the Washington Football Team. Now the Cleveland Indians will be losing their name. Next up will be the Atlanta Braves and the Kansas City Chiefs, both of them with controversial names. This isn't something new. This isn't Trump cancel culture. This is something that's been going on forever. In fact, the Washington Redskins had lawsuits that dated back to the 70s.
Virtually every major American Indian organization has signed on to say that the R word is as reprehensible to them as American Indians as the N word is to African Americans.
In fact, 1973, they started getting them all the time, and ownership promised each year to remove that. So this isn't some new cancel culture. This is Native Americans offended by it. There's a lot of words that you're not allowed to use, but we seem to look the other way when it comes to the original founders of our country. Come on, people, work together here, because that's not what we're trying to do. Now, back to the big picture on why putting these records back from the Negro League into MLB makes a huge difference. Well, it's going to change some things. They're going to look different. Willie Mays will add some hits to his record, which is amazing. Monty Irvin's big league batting average should climb above 300, the amazing 300 batting average. That's nuts. If you're a baseball purist, you know that. Satchel Paige, the great Satchel Paige pitcher, he might add over 150 victories to his total. And legendary hitter Josh Gibson could end up with the highest single season batting average ever. And his home run numbers, that's right, they could end up in the territory with Barry frickin' Bonds. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Barry Bonds could have some company up there, putting up there with Barry, Hank Aaron, and Josh Gibson, and knocking Babe Ruth, who we've all been told is the greatest baseball play ever, bringing him down. Now, folks, I don't know about you, but this is amazing news. A little concerning that it took till 2020, not 1920, from 2020 to right this minute to make this happen. I don't understand it, but hey, it happened. We took care of it. Can't wait to see these record books change. This is a good thing. I'm so happy to see Major League Baseball finally catching up with the rest of the world. That's all I got for you folks today. Hopefully you enjoyed today's show. Make sure you smash that subscribe button and tune in to more shows coming at you on this channel. Thank you so much. And as always, I'm your host, Eric Mitchell. Be safe, be strong, be smart, and God bless America.